It is time. Oh man, I've been beating myself up so much because it's been almost a full week since I've recorded a video, and I feel like I just something I really need to just jump straight into. But welcome, all of you beautiful, beautiful people, back to the Souffle Bray channel. It is lovely to have you. I'm your host, Souffle Bray, and today we're going to be getting a little spicy. We're going to be getting into some am I the a-holes? Am I the this? Am I the that? We're going to be looking into other people's stories. We're going to be critiquing some things here and there. And, I really hope that you all enjoy this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. First up, we have Am I the asshole for having my child's father pay $150 a month to me for daycare that is free? Now, I don't know about y'all, but if without any details, which we'll soon get, that title alone is already kind of iffy. Because why would I want to pay something that is free? Why would I want to pay for something when I shouldn't be paying for it at all? Now, I will say there might be something later on where it's just free temporarily until somebody gets their stuff together, but we're going to get into it. I know this sounds crazy, but I need insight on this. I share a son 4 months with my baby daddy, and he's never been an active father. Just some examples. When he goes to his dad's to visit, his mother watches him. He rarely spends the night with his dad. He doesn't take him to do fun things. He doesn't buy him clothes, shoes, necessities. He doesn't call out to check on him unless I call first. I even stopped calling just to experiment, and it took 3 weeks for him to reach out and berate me when I explained why I stopped calling. I am usually the one to pick him up and drop him off occasionally when I can get him to do it, or he'll meet me halfway. Okay, so she is basically just saying that it's frustrating to her that she's in a one-sided parentship, I'm assuming, because he's not really wanting to be in the child's life is what it sounds like. It seems like he's kind of like, well, is my kid, but if I don't have to do anything for him, then I'm not going to break my neck to go do it, which that's a terrible mindset to have. I think that every child should have, even if the parents aren't together, they should be able to grow up and spend time with both parents. All right. He is not proactive as a father at all, but if I tell him to join me in an outing for our son, he usually will go through. Okay. So, if even though he's not reaching out, if you tell him to basically come spend time with him, then he will come through and actually do it. So, and she did say usually will go through. So that means that they've probably done it more than once. And so, I don't know, it's hard to say. I receive a child care subsidy. I don't know if they spelled that right. That was $300 a month. $300. That I split with his father constantly and had to remind him it's due. Well, I lost my job and the worker made it to where daycare is free while I figured things out. Okay, so just like what I was saying earlier is they might have to pay for it, but it could just be free for up until they are able to pay for it. So I've always played the peacemaker and tried not to be bitter, so social services does not have a record of his father on file. What do you mean by that? Hence why my child support is not open, but I've started to feel differently and sick of him. Okay. Just to add some icing to the cake, I even told him he needs to buy our son a wardrobe to keep up there because our son shouldn't feel like a hitchhiker packing a bag to go back and forth when visiting. The last visit, he said not to pack a bag because he had handled it, and then the next morning his mother called asking why I didn't pack a bag because he has nothing here. Go figure. Okay. Well, I mean, he's 4 months old, so I doubt that he feels like a hitchhiker. I feel like it's more or less just a you thing. Like, why am I having to pack a bag for him when you're his father and you should also be able to provide for him? Which, I mean, makes sense. There should be no reason why both sides shouldn't contribute. Even if he's not in the picture as much, he's still the kid's father. So you would assume, or at least hope and pray, that he has something for the kid to have. Anywho, I decided not to tell his father and decided to keep collecting his 150 of the daycare. Okay. It is used towards bills or things for our son. If our son even misses a few days, he throws up how we should just pull him out of daycare because it's a waste of money, anyways. But I know the $150 is beneficial to our son. So I always argue it down anytime it is brought up. Plus, you never have him anyways, so why does it matter? The 150 has been serving us justice. Okay, so even though the daycare is temporarily free, you are still having him pay $150 to the son. So you're technically gaining $150. So since your child support is not going through or isn't opening up, as you said, then you're basically collecting the $150 that he's paying for the daycare, supposed to be paying for the daycare, as child support, which in some instances can be good because, yes, paying for, depending on whether or not the child is breastfed or bottle fed, formula is expensive. Trust me, I know. Um, and also, same thing, kids' clothes, any sort of like groceries that you need to buy for them if they are eventually going to start, like baby food, everything like that. I mean, a lot of that stuff can go for $1, $2 a thing, and it's a one serving thing. So, I mean, I can understand why you would want to collect the $150 from him still, but not telling him that you are collecting it and that the daycare is giving you pretty much free babysitter for free. I don't know. I still have to look at the details. I've started to wonder if I am an asshole for frauding someone like this. It feels wrong, but at the same time justified for the right reasons. I even debated just opening up a child support case. He's literally a drug dealer, so I don't even know how this would go. But I'm scared once he sees the child services case open, he will completely ghost from our son out of bitterness, and the fact that I basically pulled the law into it, which hurts me because our son loves him despite him being a deadbeat. Am I the a-hole? Okay, so breaking things down, skimming through real quick, you had a child with this man, and after you had a child with this man, I'm assuming that you guys aren't married because it doesn't say ex-husband or anything, it just says baby daddy, so you might not even have been dating. Might have just been some kind of fling where you ended up pregnant, and that sucks, but that's what it is. So you got with this man, had a child. Child is currently 4 months old. The father is no longer in the picture as much as what he was when he was around, if he stayed around after the baby was born. And he seems to be a young father. I don't know the ages or anything like that, but if he is a young father to a child, sometimes, not defending him, I'm not defending anyone, sometimes that can be a very scary situation. I know when I found out that I was going to have my son, I was terrified because I wasn't in the right spot financially. I could barely even drive. And, it was a lot to kind of come to at one time. So, like I said, not defending him, but it is really rough to be a single parent, as you probably already know. I mean, you're raising a 4 month old pretty much on your own based off of what you're saying. It's hard to tell the details with only your side being here, but as far as you said he's literally a drug dealer, and you're scared that once he sees the child support case open up, that he will completely ghost. Now, I will say, right here, you said that you're wondering if you're the bad person for frauding someone like this. I am very strong about if you think that something is wrong or think that you're going to be doing something wrong, then if you don't think it's right, it's probably not the right thing to do. Now, I don't know how close you two are on whether or not you guys can talk and be civil and everything like that, and be able to talk things through. But the way I would have taken care of the situation is I would have let him know that the daycare is only temporarily free because you lost your job, and it would be appreciated if he was able to help out. That way, you cannot get into any sort of instances when it comes to the court because of the fact that he's paying a bill that technically doesn't even exist at this current point in time. Now, frauding is very, that's frauding, stealing, not telling the full truth, lying about something. That can be, they're all kind of intertwined in the same thing. And so if you took that to a court situation, I feel as if it would definitely be frowned upon. And you may even end up having to pay him the money he put towards that back, because it's like he's paying an invisible bill. Now, I will say it isn't fair to you because of the fact that he isn't in the picture as you've said or described as much as what he should be. But you also said that he'll usually come through if you tell him to spend time with the son, or if you guys want to go on a family outing or something like that. So I think personally that you should take the time to say, hey, we're going on a family outing. I would love for you to be here. I need to talk to you about something. And then if he shows up, cool. That is now on that record, that phone call, that text message, email, notification, whatever it is, that you have been trying to reach out to him, and he is not responding in the way that you want him to or that he is supposed to be. So now you have a record log of you trying to reach out to him, you telling him that this is what needs to be paid, this is what needs to be paid, he needs to do this, he needs to do this, which, I mean, the stuff that you're naming off, getting a wardrobe and clothes and necessities for the child is, especially if he's wanting to see him, that is something that needs to be happening because of the fact that he hasn't been paying for that stuff, but it's also his child too. So, and with you not being able to work a job, paying for those necessities is a lot more difficult. So if you did take it to a court situation, I have no idea how it would go. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I just feel like the circumstances would make it seem more like you're taking money from him, not him giving you money, because the details of why he's giving you money is not set in stone. So, do I think you're the asshole for doing this? Not necessarily. Do I think it's the right thing to do? Also, no. I think, like I said, that you should have a conversation with him and let him know if he's willing to pay $150 for the daycare, then he should still be willing to pay the $150 if you were to talk to him about what you need and what's going on in your life. And if he truly cares about his son, he obviously cares enough about his son to send the money for him to go to a daycare. And so if he's willing to send it for a daycare, then he should be willing to take care of needs and stuff like that for him specifically. Because losing a job sucks, but that's kind of part of being an adult, is you can go get another job. Now, and especially if your kid is going to daycare. If he's not able to go to daycare anymore because of the fact that you're not able to pay it, then you should definitely be stressed out more. But because of the fact that he is able to go to daycare free up until you're able to start paying those bills again, meaning it's giving you time to have that job or get a job or find a new job, then I don't know. It's a little. I can understand why you did it, but I also think that you're going about it the wrong way. Do I think you're the asshole? No. No. All right, next up we have, am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend's kids to eat what's for dinner or don't eat at all? Oh boy. I, 27 female, have been with my boyfriend, age of 30, for a little over a year now. We recently moved in together. I have an 8-year-old from an ex, and my boyfriend has 2 kids, ages 6 and 9. Since we moved in together, I now have his children every weekend, and he works Fridays, so I am alone with them until he is off work. Friday night, I made a meatloaf with roasted broccoli and mashed potatoes. My son eats well. He knows to eat the best he can, and if he doesn't finish his food, that's okay, but he at least has to eat the most that he is able to, unless he doesn't want a before bedtime snack. I mean, fair. I hold my boyfriend's children to these exact same rules, which we haven't had any issues with until Friday night. Neither of the kids liked the food. The 9-year-old ate it. The 6-year-old refused, in which I said, I'm not making you another meal. So he went to bed without dinner. When my boyfriend got home, his 6-year-old was complaining he was hungry, and my boyfriend got upset with me that I refused to make him something else. I told him I wouldn't hold his children to different rules than my child. Okay, now, just with that, you will never, ever, ever be able to get a kid to do something that they do not want to do until they are older. Like you said, the 9-year-old ate all of his food. The 6-year-old, though, they are kids, so if they don't want something, especially if they've never eaten it before, then that they're not used to, they could have texture issues with, they could not like the flavor, the smell, or the look. They're kids. They don't know what's going to be good up until they actually try it. Now, when I was younger, I hated, and I mean hated, grits. My dad would always make grits like every morning, and all we would get was like salt and pepper or cinnamon and sugar. It's the perks of growing up with either old parents and not having a whole lot of money when you were growing up. Now, when I was a kid, hated it. Hated it. Me as an adult who has had a developed palate, who has tried multiple different things some aren't even American. Some things that I've eaten, you guys would be like, yeah, no, that's not ever happening. But I now like grits, and they're perfectly fine with salt and pepper and a little bit of paprika, some chili powder or something, or, with like some honey or sugar or brown sugar, something like that. So, your palates are going to change. So if this kid doesn't want to eat what you made, I understand you being upset because you probably worked hard to make it. But at the end of the day, he's a kid. Pop some chicken nuggets or something in the microwave, in the oven, in the air fryer, whatever you have, and give that to him and see if he eats that. Because if you're making some meatloaf with roasted broccoli and mashed potatoes, that 6-year-old has no idea what that is, most likely, and probably thinks it's yucky. I have never met a kid that has ever liked any sort of like greens or anything like that up until they're like 11 or 12 and their palates have adjusted. So sending him to bed with no food whatsoever, that is some crazy work. I would have at least tried to get him to eat, and if he wasn't actually eating, then you should try and get in contact with the father or a grandparent or something and being like, hey, what is this kid like? Because it was your choice to move in with him, and you knew that he did have kids. So, I don't know. He got upset and ended up making him something else to eat, then told me it was horrible of me to deny a child dinner and blamed it on his young age. Exactly. Explaining I had to be more lenient, I explained that I had raised a young child before, and I was once a young child and followed those same rules, which just resulted in an argument and him calling me ignorant. Okay, like you said, you raised a child with the exact same rules that you had to grow up with as a kid. This 6 and 9 year old aren't your child. They didn't probably didn't grow up with the exact same rules that you did. If you grow up and your mom and dad teach you how to play a piano, and then you try and teach someone else's kid how to play the piano and they don't get it, it's most likely because of the fact that they didn't grow up playing piano. That they were probably raised off of whatever that parental unit was eating when they were little, when they grew up. And they're like, okay, chicken nuggets, french fries, pizza, stuff that kids like. It's okay for kids to eat those kinds of foods. They're children. Their palate is so limited. They don't have any sort of like developed taste buds to like meatloaf and roasted broccoli. I mean, you took a green thing that looks like puke and then cooked it, and then if it's roasted, it gets brown, it gets crispy, so now it looks like poop, and you want a kid to eat that. I mean, of course, as an adult, roasted broccoli sounds smacking, sounds bussin'. I would eat that entire meal that you just listed off. But I'm 20 years old. This kid's 6. So I don't think he's in the wrong for saying that you shouldn't have sent him to bed with anything. I would have been so mad. Today, I got a call from my boyfriend's ex, and now the children don't want to come till Saturday or Friday night late when my boyfriend is off work. This caused another big argument between my boyfriend and he once again called me an arrogant a-hole. And I said I needed to change my way of thinking. Am I the asshole? Also, I did not force his kid to go to bed hungry. I suggested him to eat a larger portion of his mashed potatoes and a smaller portion of other things, which he refused, and he didn't want to make anything else for himself. Okay, he's 6. What 6-year-old, unless they're like on MasterChef Junior or something like that, knows how to make something themselves? If they are not taught how to do that growing up, then they just won't know how to do it. I mean, I'm just repeating what I said earlier. Like, that's crazy for you to send a kid, and no kid, especially when that is like the biggest point in time when they are susceptible to all sorts of disorders and stuff like that, eating disorders, anything. That's where they start, is them not liking something and then being ridiculed for not liking something because they're a kid. So why would you send, especially someone else's kid? If I'm watching my brother's kids or my sister's kids or something like that, and they don't like what I put out, I would try to get them to eat it. You did good trying to say, like, hey, you should try this and just eat like a little bit more of this. I know you like this, so eat a little bit more of this. That's good. But if that kid doesn't want to eat it, don't go, oh, well, go make something yourself. If you're not going to like what I cook, you're not going to get anything. That's crazy. That is insane. That's just wild to me that you would even do something like that. That's a kid. It's not a friend. If one of my friends doesn't like something that I cook, which isn't very often, you know what they do? One of my friends will go and get something to eat, or they'll make something themselves. That's different though, because they are an adult. A kid can't just hop in a car and drive down to Dollar General and get some sliced meat. You got to provide for that child, and you should already know that you have to provide for that child, especially if you have an 8-year-old. Now, I understand that 8-year-old you raised to be the exact same way that you were raised. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with growing up and a certain way and then raising your kid to be that certain way, as long as it's nothing like terrible. As long as you're not teaching that kid to go get in gang fights and shoot guns and stuff like that at people, like, and they're raised the right way, that's perfectly fine. But you can't expect to have another child who you didn't raise, that you're currently trying to raise, who isn't adjusted to your rules and your standards. You can't force them to do something that they're not going to want to do. And like that dad said, you have to be more lenient. How he just came in after work, especially, just came in and made his kid something else to eat because his kid was hungry. And that kid probably ate that. I'm assuming he ate it because there was no issues that you listed in this thing. So, are you the asshole? I mean, yeah, in my opinion, you are. I mean, hate to be that guy, but no, I don't. You are definitely in the wrong for this right here. There is no reason why any sort of kid should ever have to starve ever. That's stupid. And that kid probably lost however many hours of sleep that they lost because they're sitting up hungry. And I don't know. That's just crazy. All right. Last but not least, we have, am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law if she keeps asking about our baby's name, she won't see her for an additional week every time she asks? Oof. There's a lot of kid related versions of these. Okay, getting into it. I, 21 female, by the way, congratulations, am currently 39 weeks pregnant, due next Thursday. Congratulations again. Over the course of my pregnancy, I have had several issues with my mother-in-law. The two biggest being her wanting to be in the delivery room when I give birth, even though I have made it clear since the beginning of the only person I want there is my husband. That's fair. It got to the point to where I decided I didn't want any visitors in the hospital, not even my parents, because she threw a fit about them coming in after the baby was born. However, the biggest issue has been her wanting to know the baby's name. The baby is going to be named after my grandfather, who I have been extremely close to my entire life. Because of this, we decided to keep it a secret, and so it could be a surprise to him once she is born. Perfectly valid. My mother-in-law even went as far as snooping through my hospital bag to try and find either the sweater or the Welcome to World sign that has her name on it. Luckily, I caught her before she found them. Yesterday, she called my husband again asking why she can't know the name, even going as far as saying, what if something happens to me and I never get to know my baby's name? For reference, she is in good health and does not work a dangerous job. It's giving a monster-in-law. After my husband informed me of this conversation, I called my mother-in-law and told her as of now she will not meet the baby for at least 3 weeks after she is born, and each time she asks about the name after this point will be an additional week she will not meet her. She says I am being cruel and denying her baby. So am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law if she continues to ask about my baby's name, I will not allow her to meet the baby for another week? Okay. No, not at all. You are not the asshole. There is no reason, and I experienced it as well with in-laws, where especially mother-in-laws, when they say, what if I never get to meet my baby? And as a grandparent, you have to understand that yes, you are having a grandchild. It is a wonderful thing to bring a life into this world, especially under the right circumstances, and if it's been something that you've been wanting and something that you've just been so excited to do. It is a really great experience. Now, you have to understand that that child genuinely isn't even supposed to be away from the mother for a week or two, as far as my understanding, before being able to actually be put in its crib in another room or something like that. Like, because as it's been a part of the mother for so long, 9 months, which is crazy. She said 39 weeks. She's got 1 week left. It's a crazy thing to put yourself in the position of the mother when you are not the one giving birth. In reality, if you're the mother-in-law, the closest thing you even did to having that baby was getting pregnant and having the father of that child, who, after the father, does his thing and the mother gets pregnant, the father doesn't experience the pain, the cramps, the emotional tax that it puts on the mother. They don't lose weight, gain weight, or anything like that. There are circumstances or some instances of fathers like having that joint pregnancy kind of thing. I wasn't one to experience it. I didn't get like the cravings or anything, and I was really upset about it. But as far as the male goes, the male's role, as far as I'm concerned, as and being a father, is to make sure that the mother is as comfortable as she can be, make sure that she's protected at all times. If she needs something, go get it. Like, make sure to be around her as much as possible, even if she's upset at you or something. You can't sit there and back away from her or get upset or leave because of the fact that she's yelling at you, she's carrying your child. It takes two to get into the situation, and I mean, it's your job now to take care of the mother and the child. That way, both can be safe throughout the pregnancy. Now, I'm not saying that this father hasn't done any of that. I mean, I'm sure that he was been there, great there. I don't see any complaints or anything like that inside this yet. But yeah, as far as being a mother-in-law, don't put yourself in that mother's shoes because you can overstimulate her, especially asking the name. I mean, they might not have even had a name picked out yet. There's a lot of parents that pick names after the child is born, not before. It's just something that you got to get used to. And just because they're not letting you in and letting you know the name of the baby and everything like that, that doesn't pertain to you. You'll find out eventually. Now, if you had kept your mouth shut and not bothered her anymore, you probably would have been able to be in that hospital room after her parents or her husband was in there being able to see the baby. And you probably would have gotten to meet her. And then all you have left is a week. Really? All you have left is a week, and you're sitting here putting this much stress. You're going to see that baby in the week. You're going to find out the name in a week. You can wait a couple days. That's crazy. Okay. Oh, update. Not sure how to update my post, so I hope this works. First, to answer some questions. This is my mother-in-law's fourth grandchild. However, they do not see the other three, but maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I am not sure why my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live about 4 hours away and do not allow the kids to come down here. Second, my husband does support my decision. However, he struggles a lot with setting boundaries with his family. He was raised with the they are blood, so their actions are okay mentality. That sucks. This is something that we have been working on, and yes, his family's, not just his parents, take full advantage of him. He's a teddy bear, and this is not the first time since we have been together that a family member has ran right over him. He did end up cutting the other family member off, but I don't see him doing that to his own mother. Which, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. It happens a lot, especially in boy families. There's a lot of mama's boys to where they're raised to, always be consoling the mother because that's just something that they were raised to do. It's how they grow up. And I mean, yeah, it sucks because you feel like you don't ever get any privacy or anything like that. Then just kind of like alone time without the mother being there. Now, I will say the brother and sister-in-law they live about 4 hours away, so I wouldn't blame them if the grands only got to see them 3 or 4 times a year. That is a 4-hour drive. That's an 8-hour drive back and forth. That's like a 2-hour flight back and forth from depending on where you live. Like I understand that. If I was living 4 hours away from my family wouldn't be seeing me as much as often, especially if both parents are working. They have to find time to get off and everything like that. So I understand why they wouldn't allow the kids to come down, especially kids on their own, unless they were like 18, getting out of the house and just want to come visit. That's a different story. But yeah, no, I get that. Okay, on to the update. After waking up this morning and reading all of your comments, I sat down with my husband and showed him this post. After he read all the comments, something clicked in his head. He agreed this behavior is not okay and apologized for not being firmer with his mother. That's good. Good for him. We have decided we will not be telling anyone when I go into labor except a trusted friend who will be taking care of our dogs and horses and will inform my LD team. Cool. You got horses? No one is able to come in under any circumstances. He also sent his mom the following message. Mom, after the conversation we had yesterday, your behavior has gotten out of hand. While I understand you are excited to meet our baby, your actions have shown we cannot trust you around her until we receive an apology and see your actions have changed. You will not be meeting her, and from this point on, Wifey will not be communicating with you. If you have anything else to say, you will say it to me and only me. I am very proud of him for standing up for his baby or for his family, and we will see how things progress. But at this point, I am checking out and focusing on myself and baby. Thanks everyone for the support and advice. Yeah, no, that is as real as it gets. That I'm very happy that the husband reached out and spoke about how much stress that she's putting you under now. And I do get it. Grandparents, you guys can get super excited because something that you created together is now creating its own life, and it's just an exciting experience, and you get to see them you get to watch them grow up and experience all the things in the world, maybe stuff that you didn't get to experience yourself, and it's very freeing and it makes you very bubbly. I understand that completely, but you have to understand that that baby is going to be the parent's responsibility. You cannot sit there and act like you already have custody over the baby, that you're the actual parents of the baby, because in reality you are not, and you don't have that liberty to be able to just walk in there willy-nilly and start a commotion. I mean, especially with the mother of the child. Reach out to the husband, reach out to the father and say, "Hey, I would really appreciate it if I was able to know the name of the baby, just in case I wanted to make something for the baby that had their name on it, or in case I wanted to get balloons that had their name on it, or something special." I can understand that. And the thing is if the husband says, "Hey, talked it over with the wife, the mother of the child, and she said that she's still not going to tell you," you have to live with that. Own up to that. You have to live with it. You cannot sit there and throw a fit because you're not getting what you want. You're a grandparent, not a child. I'm sorry to say it. Like, I don't care how old, how young, doesn't matter where you are in your point in life. If you don't get something that you want, don't throw a fit over it. Especially something this serious, because now you just jeopardized your chance of seeing that baby for a full month of its life. They could have brought that baby as soon as they got out of the hospital over to your place. You could have gotten introduced within the first week, gotten to know them, feel that first connection when you first see them, and now you got to wait almost a full month before even getting to see the baby that you were so excited to see. Like that, first of all, mother, father, you are not in the wrong here. You guys are doing great. I am rooting for you. I hope everything goes really well for you. And yeah, I hope that baby grows up to be strong and is an aerospace engineer or something like that. Something big, something big. But mother-in-law, girl, let it go. Let it go. You just had to wait a couple days. A couple days. That was all you had to do. As just sit and, I don't even see anything in here that I'm seeing, because don't get me wrong, my mother-in-law and I did not have the best connection, but we started to form, like when I first started being like introduced to the family and stuff like that, we were kind of on like our own hills. Because that was my wife and that was her daughter. So, I mean, yeah, I understand it now, but I'm looking through here and I'm not seeing like any support from you. I'm not seeing anything that is giving, I really appreciate something that she did. I mean, yesterday she called my husband again asking why she can't know the name, even going as far as saying, what if something happens to me and I never get to know where my baby's name comes from? Okay, my baby's girl, that's not your child. Secondly, you just give it a break. Just give it a break. There's no reason. There's no reason. And I feel bad for the grandpa too. Pappy, I'm sure that sucks for you too, because now that your lady, even though I'm sure she's lovely, she just jeopardized the fact that you even get to see your grandkid that you've probably been waiting the full 9 months for. Now you got to wait a full extra month to see them, all because of something that she did. Not blaming you, not saying you can put her in check or anything like that. If you're a man in a relationship and you think that you run things, you do not. Sit down, shut up. It's just, that's not something you get to do. All right. Even if you think you do, you don't. She's running stuff from behind the scenes, so get over yourself. But yeah, no, I feel bad for Grandpa because he was probably super excited to see this baby, and now he doesn't get to, all because of the fact that she went and started yapping, and that's honestly given like obsession. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being obsessed with your child, but I mean, it's too much. It's just too much. Anyways, that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave off, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Give me some feedback. Give me some comments on stuff that you would like to see. Do you guys want to start doing more of this? I'm going to try and do as much of this as I can because I really enjoy reading these, and I think that it'd be really fun to get to introduce y'all to other stories. I love doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, so leave some notes down in the comments. Let me know what you think of these three situations, and maybe I'll do a reaction or something like that to the comments that you say, and I'll go back and maybe you guys might be right on some stuff and put me in check. You might be wrong on some stuff, and I might comment on that. But yeah, y'all have a lovely night, and I enjoyed your time. Mwah. Am I the asshole for shitting in my wife's coffee mug? I don't know if I can do this.